Imagine a city gripped, but not by war, disease or famine, but by the uncontrollable urge to dance. Stop laughing. In the summer of 1518, the streets of Strasbourg became the stage for one of history's strangest and most terrifying mysteries. Dozens of people began to dance, but not out of joy, as if they were possessed. Day and night they moved until their feet bled, their bodies collapsed, and some even danced themselves to death. Was it mass hysteria, a curse, or something far more sinister? Tonight we seek answers to the chilling phenomenon known as the Dancing Plague. On July the 14th, 1518, Frau Truffia and her daughter Fraulein Emma Gotz, situated in the city of Strasbourg in France, began a bizarre epidemic that would puzzle the world for centuries. Without warning and seemingly beyond their own control, both began to dance inexplicably in the street. According to Ned Pennant-Rea, quote, Frau Truffia had started dancing on July the 14th on the narrow cobbled street outside her half-timbered home. As far as we can tell, she had no musical accompaniment, but simply began to dance. Some of those who had witnessed her strange performance had begun to mimic her, and within days more than 30 choreomaniacs were in motion. End quote. Truffia reportedly danced non-stop for an entire week before other witnesses began to join in, uncontrollably dancing against their will. By August, 400 people were now in motion. Over time, their movements were described as being spasmodic, with many of them convulsing. Their bodies were soon drenched in sweat, with their arms thrashing violently. Their feet began to become swollen and would bleed into their shoes, and they would often scream for help, with their eyes remaining vacant and expressionless. Some danced for so long that they actually began to drop dead from exhaustion, hunger, or thirst, while others resulted in a heart attack or stroke. It was reported that around 15 people would die per day during this entire ordeal when the epidemic was at its peak. The total number of fatalities remains a mystery, though with those numbers, it would be in the hundreds and almost thousands. There were reports of guild halls being refurbished to accommodate all of the dancing, as well as people being hired to help the victims stand upright during it. The issue was nobody knew what was causing this, so there was no way to actually help the victims. This gained so much attention it attracted the authorities, but the council surrendered all control to the local physicians to try to find a fix. However, this failed and they were forced to ban all music and dancing. Locals were convinced that this was a punishment from Saint Vitus, who it was believed punished sinners by making them dance. And this led to some willingly joining in to avoid further punishment. This resulted in them actually being sent to the shrine of Saint Vitus holding crucifixes and incense as protection. Fortunately, by the beginning of September, the plague finally began to subside after almost 2 months of continuous movement. But this leads to the question, what caused hundreds to die from miraculous, involuntary dancing? Some theories ranged from demonic possession to overheated blood. The latter led to the authorities encouraging the dancing at first, hiring musicians to provide a constant rhythm, hoping to exhaust the infection into recovery. But this ended up failing miserably and causing even more deaths. Another theory is that this whole thing was caused by mass food poisoning. It's been posited that toxic and psychoactive chemical products, or ergot fungi, which is commonly found on grains and used for baking bread, could have caused the locals to suffer from food poisoning. This in turn could have caused the product ergotamine, which is related to the drug LSD and is known to have caused several bizarre anomalies over the years, including during the Salem witch trials. However, writer John Waller wasn't convinced. Quote, this theory does not seem tenable since it is unlikely that those poisoned by ergot could have danced for days at a time. Nor would so many people have reacted to its psychotropic chemicals in the same way. End quote. While the food poisoning could have caused hallucinations, confusion and trembling, it wouldn't cause the prolonged and coordinated dancing that many had witnessed. Furthermore, the poisoning would have caused severe fatigue and they wouldn't have been able to dance for that length of time. The most commonly accepted theory is that this was nothing more than stress-induced mass hysteria. This could have been caused by a psychogenic movement disorder involving many people all displaying the exact same bizarre behaviour, which can happen rapidly and broadly. Due to the difficult times in 1518, it could have been stress-related due to the starvation and local disease. Furthermore, people in the area were extremely superstitious, explaining the previous St. Vitus story. And there were also other lesser-known cases of uncontrollable dancing outbreaks in the past as well. But this calls into question the true number of fatalities. The majority of sources came from John Waller, but all of his reports of deaths during the epidemic were only mentioned in later accounts. There are historical documents such as physician notes, cathedral sermons, local and regional chronicles and notes from the city council that do confirm the outbreak of inexplicable dancing, but none of the original ones actually confirm anybody dying from it. The reports over the years have also slightly changed from the first person to have danced, as well as the number of dancers involved. So although it's confirmed that they did dance, it's unclear how deadly it actually was. Over 500 years later, the dancing plague of 1518 remains one of history's most unsettling enigmas. Why did hundreds of ordinary people suddenly lose control of their own bodies? Was it an outbreak of hysteria, a strange illness, or a force beyond our understanding? The truth may never be known, but what happened on those streets serves as a haunting reminder of how fragile the human mind and body can be. One thing is certain, those who danced in Strasbourg left a mystery behind that continues to echo through time, and we will never know if we will ever truly stop seeking answers.